Yeah. Oh, the music stopped, didn't it? I just took out my handy compact disc of that song. Compact discs have arrived, and they are in the mail to those of you who have bought them already. But if you haven't, pick it up. We've got this handy little packing case. We've got some photography. We've got the CD, of course. Then we've got the back cover. And we've got this little insert in here, front and back. We've got a little lyric sheets and stuff like that for you. Neat photography by Terry Prine. This booklet and the CD package was designed by Rob Kavanaugh. Rob also performs on this record. He played on this song, on Blue Shadows. He's the one playing those cool, sick leads in the middle of the verses. So thank you, Rob, for the rad performance and for the cool CD art. So, okay, cool. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Like I said, if you haven't ordered my record, please do. You can get it at most all places where you get music. And it's streaming on Spotify and all that stuff. Pass it around, please, so that I can make some more records. I hope everybody's meeting the moment. If you're barbecuing this weekend, this meat is a different spelling, and so it will be for me as well. But I hope everybody is safe and healthy, and taking a moment this weekend to remember those who have fallen in the line of duty for our armed forces, and remember them. Today, my guest is Curtis Stage. He is a visual artist, a multimedia artist, I should say, and he is a good friend of mine, and he loves music and is super knowledgeable about it, and loves to talk about music, and so he is going to join us in just a minute. If you don't know the songs that I'm performing, you can go to wayneeverett.com/discography and find some stuff there. If you really like what you see and hear today, please give me a little tip at Venmo, if you don't mind. Thank you so much. And let's see. Let me try to play these things. You might notice that I have a little different setup today. I've got one of these little guys. My friend Jeff told me I should get one of these things if I wanted to do the whole, I mean, it's not often that you can compare me to Bob Dylan. But this is the only way, probably, is that he was playing on acoustic and he went electric. And so today I'm going electric, and hopefully it will sound better, but who knows? Let's see. Let's see here. Maybe a little more volume. That's about it that I know of that song. Okay, enough fucking around. Well, it's all fucking around, so. Okay. Let's see, I'm gonna try something like this. Whoops, let's see what happens when I do this, and then a little bit of that. Woo, sticky. Hey skinny, give me some skin. Thank you for being my friend. Hey skinny, give me some skin. I wanna thank you for being my friend. You broke the door open for me, shook the shaker evenly. You said it's no measure of a man, I'll never swim if I can't even stand. Hey skinny, give me some skin. I wanna thank you for being my friend. Hey skinny, give me some skin. I wanna thank you for being my friend. You broke the door, you gave my soul a brand new outlet. Hands and sticks for lying around. Simple words to clear my headspace, heavy words for breaking me down. Hey skinny, give me some skin. I wanna thank you for being my friend. Hey skinny, give me some skin. I wanna thank you for being my friend. Hey my man, I'm digging your style. You've taken my best and made it shine. Music comes and music goes, but your heart, it keeps me alive. Raise an eyebrow, I'm gonna do whatever I can. Simple words to clear my headspace, I'm gonna do your leprechaun dance. Hey skinny, give me some skin. Thank you for being my friend. Hey skinny, you taught me to fly. I'm sincerely digging your style. I'm sincerely digging your style. I'm sincerely digging your style. All right, does it sound okay? Does the guitar sound okay? I don't know. Oh, okay, one more. you worry, don't you worry. The lights may be faded, but don't you worry, don't you worry. The time is on your side, flying by. Don't you let it fade away, don't you fade away. Ooh. Don't you let it fade away, don't you fade away. Oh, prisoners to their time. Yeah, prisoners to their time. The time is flashing by. All right, Electric. So, if you didn't know, I made a music video for that song, and that music video was directed by my guest coming on in just a moment. Let's see, where is the camera here? There we are. Whoops. There it is. Voila. All right, now I can see the comments. I switched that over because I can't. I don't look left. I'm not left-handed, so it looks kind of strange. But anyway, hey brother, what's going on? That's my brother Van Dorble right there. Hey Terry, what's up, man? Oh, thank you. I like that guitar. Anyway, so let's bring him on right now. This is Curtis Stage, ladies and gentlemen. If this will work. Curtis, are you there? I think you might have to press something.
Hey there.
There, nice.
Technology.
Totally. Technology.
I feel so, well, first of all, I'm thank you for having me on, Wayne.
Sure, man.
Second off, you broke out the Jag for today's show, which I feel honored because I think that's the first time in staying in with Wayne that you've had that, right?
Yeah, I don't own an amplifier, and so I just went and got this little thing.
How do you not own an amplifier? How's that even possible? Oh, that's right.
It's kind of this. I don't know. I guess it is kind of weird. I also don't own a drum kit either, and that's my first instrument. So it's like, I don't know. Maybe
well, that would take up your whole area right there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, part of the reason is because my friends have all this awesome equipment, so it's like I don't really need it, if I'm going to record. But with this whole thing, it's like I just kind of figured, well, I don't know, it'd just be kind of nice to, have an amplifier and hear something besides the, besides the acoustic.
Yeah. Well, hey, I loved you playing Prisoners. I'm sure we'll talk about that video. But before we do, Wayne, I wanted to ask you your opinion on that. It's probably a good thing that you didn't ask me to design your record cover or the CD. CD looks great, by the way. It's probably good you didn't ask me because I would have gone this route. I don't know if you know this album by Miles, but if you look closely, the inside's great because it's a couple Miles paintings, right?
Oh, nice.
But the front cover, if you look closely, he's brandishing a large weapon. Well, the back, that's a.
That sounds like Miles.
I probably would have gone that route though in the art direction with you. I would have tried to see if we could possibly somehow get some sort of firearm, and because I know you're in, the duck hunting and whatever, quails or whatever you and your dad did. That I thought it might have been appropriate, but yeah, I'm glad you didn't go with me on that, and we did the music video instead.
Well, I'll have to explain the hunting thing some other time. It's a long story, but yeah, I probably wouldn't have gone with that direction though for the album cover. No. Miles can get away with that shit. I can't.
He can get away with a lot of shit. In fact, he's also wearing that hat as well, which I don't think. It's right. So I don't even listen to this album. I just have this because of the album art. That's it.
It's epic.
Yeah.
Super epic. Oh my gosh. So So for those of you who don't know, Curtis is an artist who predominantly multimedia, and he's represented by Durden and Ray.
Ooh.
And oh, I guess it's all reversed. Damn it! Ugh. It happens every time. Every time I want to show something. Shit. Anyway,
I think they get the gist on that. I think that's fine.
Anyway, so the show just opened, right? And it's a really interesting, innovative idea, because obviously we can't go to art galleries and see art shows right now. So tell us about this latest show. It's called We Are Here, Here We Are. Yeah, so Durden and Ray, just to backtrack a little bit, Durden and Ray is an artist collective based in Los Angeles, and there's 25 LA artists that are part of this group. All different genres, all different, painters, sculptors, photographers. I'm really one of the only photo media guys. There's a couple other people in there that are, but really fantastic group of artists, some of the best artists in LA. I'm really actually proud to be with this group. And we have a gallery in downtown LA. And, when the pandemic broke out, we were all like, what the hell what do we fucking do now? So we gotta figure out something. And one of our members, Sean Noyce, he's amazing. And by the way, Durden and Ray, not only we're a collective, so that means we also curate shows too. So the idea is that, we, and the big charge is international shows. So Durden and Ray is really big on, we'll do a show in Rome, and the Rome artists come to LA and have their show in Los Angeles at our space. So it's been really awesome. I've been able to show in, Berlin and Rome and Budapest, places I would have never, it's just amazing to have your artwork all over the world. So, so that's pretty cool. So we got together as a group and we had a Zoom meeting. It was a bunch of us. We're like, what the hell do we do? And Sean came up with this idea. He pitched it to the group of why don't we do a show where it's out around Los Angeles? We're all like, what? And yeah, let's invite like around 100 artists. So, I mean, that's crazy right there, but let's invite a whole bunch of people. Every one of us invite a few people, and then, kind of make work that the original idea wasn't really about like, for the art world, really. It was more about making work that your neighbors would see on walks. I mean, I live on where I live. I live on a corner in a, suburban part of Long Beach, and it's dog walking central here. So a lot, I was thinking, hey, my neighbors probably already think I'm weird. So why not add a little? Let's roll with it. Yeah, why not open that up a little bit more? And we're on a corner, so we get a lot of traffic. And so my first idea, everybody was kind of like, oh yeah, art kind of right around our house. So the idea, we kind of ran with this idea about a month ago. We kind of started setting it up. My job as part of this was to build the whole website for it. That was a lot, but what's great is all these artists around Los Angeles, some Durden and Ray artists, but artists we invited that aren't Durden and Ray artists, all put work in and around Los Angeles area. I mean, in the 50 miles, I think it goes, down to Orange County, up to the Valley. So you could literally get in your car and go on, there's like on the website, there's like a Google map, and you could kind of like map out and just kind of drive by and check out art. It's pretty rad. And yesterday was kind of big for us because Christopher Knight, he's the art critic for the LA Times. He just won a Pulitzer, by the way. Just won a long time, big wig in the art world. Yeah, longtime bigwig in the art world, and he wrote a big article in yesterday's calendar section about this show. So we're really stoked about it. It's awesome, and the pieces I made are like fucked up, weird video, animated video. I haven't done a lot of video pieces in a while, and so most of my work's been is very urban photography based. Check out my work after on Instagram or whatever, but the videos are these. Oh yeah, Wayne's got some. Yeah, man. I do my research. I come prepared for this shit. Wow. Okay. So this is just a little sample of the work that is in the current show. don't know if everybody can hear that too. There's sound with it. So it's like a 6 minute long thing. And tell us about, about about this piece. And it's a collaboration with your son, right?
Yeah. So the best part of it is I wanted to make, I haven't done a video piece in a couple of years. So again, people who don't know me, I do usually minimalist urban landscape. If you go over to Wayne's house, you'll see one of my pieces on his wall. I do super minimal urban, crappy location around Los Angeles shots.
There it is.
Yeah, there's one. So,
well, not in focus, but
yeah, they get the idea. And so I haven't made a video piece in a while. So for this show, that would be playing, and so I made these 3 kind of short 2-minute each animated pieces, and then I had my son. I kind of said, hey, will you do some sound on this? This is what I want it to sound like. My son's 17. He's trying to become a musician, and so he knocked it out of the park. He brought me in and would be like, hey, how does this? And I'd be like, hey, do this and do this. And I didn't really have to tell him much. He got the vibe kind of by watching. It was cool. We really collaborated. He really watched what I was making and then was trying to make very rhythmic, abstract musical pieces that went along with it. So it was very cool. It was fun. First time that I had done anything with him art-wise. So it was really great.
That's cool. Yeah. He's really talented. I mean, he's got some real, I think he's got some real opportunities.
He works at it. He's got some chops.
I know. I've seen some of his work. Yeah, it's awesome. I mean, your son is a musician, but like music is a huge. I mean, of course we're friends, and so we talk about music a lot. But you are like super into music more than the average person, and and which is awesome too. But you're not a musician, and so it's we talk about music in different ways than I do with my musician friends. But what does it have a role in your work? Like, I imagine like if you're like rendering and doing different stuff, you're probably listening to music while you're waiting for that kind of stuff to happen. But how much does it work its way into your actual work?
Well, in any video work, I've always had sound elements to it. So whether sound is really music or not, I mean, the sound elements, I always think of them as, well, first of all, let me backtrack for a second. I don't really separate art and music that much. I really actually think they're just, they're just ways to communicate that, kind of grab people different ways. I mean, music, the thing I love about music so much that maybe art doesn't do so much, is that first off, it's portable, or it can be portable unless you're seeing it live. But we'll talk about the seeing it live portion in a second. But the idea that it's portable, that you can always have a song or a melody in your head even without even listening to a song. I love that part about music. And then, so I think when you get down to kind of the structure of the similarities between visual art and music, you could talk about, I talk to my students, so I'm a college professor, so I talk to my students about this all the time. Somebody like Jackson Pollock, let's just say, probably a lot of people know who that is. He was a huge jazz fan. It really influenced his splatter. I mean, if you look at those splatter paintings, they're basically avant-garde experimental jazz improv, essentially what those are. As a photographer, it's hard for me to kind of include, kind of music, but, I always feel like I have music in my head. I cannot play shit. I know what I like, but I have zero rhythm. I don't know how my son got any of this because I can't do it. I've tried. I haven't tried that hard, but I was just drawn to visual art more myself. But in terms of making, I think that just goes back to being a little kid. I just always identified as being an artist. And so, but again, I don't really separate music from art. I just think they're the same thing. I just think they come from the same place. They communicate to us differently, and they work on us differently. But really, the magic is the same. And what you're doing with them, how you're trying to communicate ideas kind of is the same. I don't see it coming into my, like when I'm out taking photos, man, I have music on in my car and I'm jamming while I'm, driving around, but I'm not like building compositions. But you could talk about like, you could talk about similarities like texture and space and rhythm and movement, all those things that are in art and design, let's say.
Yeah, totally.
They also occur, and in film, but they also occur in music. So, when something has a lot of space in it, right?
Yeah, for sure.
You listen to Brian Eno thing. I mean, I've been getting, maybe it's a pandemic or something, dude. I don't know, but I've been really getting back into Brian Eno's ambient shit from the after his glam rock days, which I love too. That could be a good Cooler Lane, Brian Eno glam rock.
Oh yeah,
but
anyways, a good one.
I love how Brian Eno's and all ambient artists are very visual. Like the music feels like I see things when I'm listening to that. And I think with all music, you kind of see things, maybe. I do at least. Maybe other people do. I don't know. But yeah. So maybe that answers your question.
No, I think it's interesting. You're talking about like how art and music come from the same place. And, for me, it's like I can't draw anything. I can't design anything. My vocabulary is very limited, when I talk about that kind of stuff. But when you talk about terms like rhythm and space, and I know what you're talking about in the world of like design or in fine art, where you have like the Jackson Pollocks that are like super busy and kind of madcap. It's got a certain energy and a certain way that it makes sense within that context. Whereas something else like a James Turrell or whatever, that's very much about like, a lot of it's very quiet, and very, very simple, and it's got almost the opposite kind of effect upon you physically, when you look at those pieces.
Well, music, that's the other thing. So music, portable is one thing. That's, I think music is so consumable because it is portable in so many ways. But then when you see a live show, it's so physical, it's like you're in a physical space, and, flat artwork, it's very, unless it's super big, and so large, paintings or photographs or sculptures can be very physical, and they can kind of, invade your space, your physicality of your being. And there's similarities there. I mean, being in a mosh pit could be similar to seeing like a, Paul McCarthy, a group of sculptures or something. But certainly installation art could put you in, James Turrell, bringing him up. If you guys don't know James Turrell, amazing light space artist, still working today. And puts you in a space, your body is experiencing it, just like we kind of experience music. And so, when I make video pieces, and I've made video, you were in one of my video installations.
I know.
way back in the day.
Curtis had me, his direction was stand behind this microphone, this mic stand, and pretend like you're Mick Jagger or Axl Rose, and be all rock and roll about it, and so
and then you couldn't see you just like from your down. And you had no shirt on too, which probably wasn't.
That's right.
You probably wouldn't do that piece today, I'm guessing.
What's that?
You probably wouldn't do that piece today, I'm guessing.
No, of course not. Never do that.
But 20 years ago, you were cool with that.
Yeah.
It was a good piece. We're not doing it justice, but you were rock and rolling that. Well, the show was called Pop Bastard, and it was interactive. So you would walk into this space, and speaking of musicians, Laurie Anderson came to see my piece, which was one of my favorite moments. But
that's awesome.
You walk into the space, and there was a touch screen. This is before we had iPads and shit. And you would have a touch screen with just buttons on it. And then there was a video. You were in a black room, and then a large video wall. And that video wall had 4 channels of short, like 4, 5, 6 second clips that all had sound and music and video and visuals. And you, as the viewer, got to control like a DJ what was being played on the screen. So you'd click, and there was no, it was completely randomized. So there was 56 buttons to control 4 screens. So it could be I had to make thousands of little animated and video pieces, and it was crazy. This was in Chinatown. This was in LA about 2007 or something like that, 2006.
Mm-hmm.
So you were in that piece. Yeah, it's funny. And so that piece included sound. So when you're doing video work, sound is such a big part of it. It's not necessarily music, but in this, but it can be, I guess.
Sound design.
Yeah.
That's rad. So I want to talk about those urban landscape photography, because you've been doing that series for a long time now.
Yeah.
And, again, just give everybody a quick look at what it looks like. I'm gonna get closer. There it is.
Yeah.
Well, it's behind some plastic, but anyway, it's hard to see with the light. But anyway,
they got it.
You get the idea. Go check out Curtis's Instagram to see the rest of them. But you've been doing this series for a long time now, and I've always wanted to ask you, like, how did you even start it? Like, did you, was it one of those kind of epiphanies where you're like, you're driving around in downtown and you're like, oh shit, this is could be a cool photograph, or what was the inspiration behind that?
Yeah, it's funny. I don't remember the first one, and it was probably accidental. I was probably was doing something like that. One of the things that really fascinates me about Los Angeles. There's so many things that fascinate me about the LA area, but one of them is this real difference between kind of, well, first of all, we're on these, we drive on freeways, and we drive quickly past a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
So we're such a sprawl. For those of you who live in LA, this, but if you don't live in LA, it's so huge, and there's just so much you don't see when you live in Los Angeles. And part of it was me interested in these hidden pockets that are everywhere, but that are these kind of moments that you wouldn't care about. Like, the majority of people just drive, they're just kind of pass by. It's their normal days get from here to there, and doesn't really include these weird industrial areas that and it seems like all these places are there's like secret shit going on in them. Like, you don't you don't know what's going, it's like Tom Waits, that song, what's that song off, and he's like, what's he doing in there? It's like, I want to know what's going on inside these, like, they're very bland. But what's interesting is the spaces are this weird aesthetic clash. So they're in really terrible areas of Los Angeles. I mean, I shouldn't say terrible. I mean, and maybe I won't call out areas of LA, but they're very bad areas usually. Vernon. Sorry, Matt. I think Matt Gleason lives in Vernon. I don't know if he's watching.
No, he doesn't live in Vernon. I think he doesn't. He's in like Huntington Park or something.
Okay, it's next to it.
They're all the same. Right there, yeah.
Yeah. So these spaces that are kind of these no spaces. They almost don't exist. They're almost these like in between places. They don't really have a life to them. The people go to work and go inside these secrety buildings, and the outsides of them are pretty much neglected. But every once in a while, some artist will go, I'm going to make this wall look cooler, or I'm going to make this hedge look, nicer today for some reason, And so it always intrigued me. I would drive around LA. I would almost get lost, and that's another kind of nice aspect of doing what I do is I drive around a lot and just kind of meander through and just find things. It's like it's this very I kind of let the work come to me sometimes, and it's interesting. I mean, I don't just get out of my car and take a picture and get back in my car, because I scout these locations out. Because when you look at my work, you'll notice that oftentimes there's no shadows. Things are lit like perfectly. They look fake. Like, the things look unreal. And so it's kind of interesting to to see these things. When I see them after I've taken them, they look so flat, and that's part of my goal, is that they look almost like paintings or designs, right?
Yeah.
They don't look like real spaces anymore. So yeah.
Yeah. And they do. I mean, it's cool because they really capture like you know, they're like mundane places, you know, in these like industrial areas of Los Angeles, and but the way that you frame them and the imagery that you capture sometimes is at like an angle or like a um you know, it's just it feels very composed, you know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
in a weird way, but it's like obviously you didn't, you know, do the lines that way that go up to the wall that does this, and then it's got these, you know, things on the wall, and you know,
Yeah.
so it's just fascinating how you capture these kinds of things that were, in a way, these views that are deliberate, but certainly not thought of as artful.
Yeah, no, nobody that yeah, the people that are collaborating with me, I like to kind of think of it almost as a collaboration,
Hmm.
because I'm really kind of riffing off what somebody else did in a
Right.
way,
Mm-hmm.
or what groups of people did. And so I like this idea of that I'm collaborating with ghosts in a way, or just people that I don't, that I'm never going to meet or never going to see,
Right. Or like
which is,
someone, you know, someone put some graffiti on the wall and then somebody went and painted over that in a certain way. And so it's a weird kind of, it's, it's like, well, it's like music, you know,
yeah,
like music, as a musician, you draw upon your influences. You're like, oftentimes you're like, well, I just don't have an idea, and need to write something, and then it's like, well, what if I want to do a song like this one Stone Roses song or whatever, you know what I mean, or whatever, and so you do your version of it, but it doesn't sound exactly like Stone Roses because you've pulled from these different influences, and in the way that you see this point of view and you see this stuff that other people had done, and then you incorporate that into your own work.
yeah, no, it's just like that. I think that, and what's funny is I'll go to a spot and I'll take 10 or 15 shots, but there's only one that's the shot, right? And it's me finding that one. And when I'm out there, I'll compose it. And like I said, I scout these places out, sometimes for months. Sometimes I'm waiting for a tree to get cut back. Sometimes I'm waiting for I have to go and see what the light is like in the spaces. And then I go back there and go when okay, it looks like that at 10 in the morning. Okay, good. I'm going to go there. Some of these places I go to, they're very dangerous. So I can only go at 6 in the morning or at 8 in the morning on Sunday. Right. So, I get a certain kind of light there, which is very interesting. And so I'm interacting kind of with the world around me as a photographer and as an artist. And I'm pulling in all of my, kind of ammunition as an artist, kind of the art, kind of, things we were talking about a little earlier. I'm pulling in all those principles that you think about as an artist when you're making work. But then I also just turn my mind off, and places kind of start speaking to you. You start connecting with them in a certain way, and a sort of feeling happens. When it's a good shot and when it's not. You know what, and I tell students I've been literally taking the same picture for 10 years. It's the same thing. They look different every fucking time. It's cool. So it's fun. It's fun to do that. Photography is it's so different from music in the sense that it's one click with the actual picture, where a song lasts for a duration, right? It's like this 3-minute banger, and a photo is a one fucking click, and you've got, and that's it, man. You're like, okay, done, wrap it up, people. But there is more. I mean, light and space and everything all plays into it. But it's so funny. We come at our art a different way, but we're trying, like I said at the start, I don't really, music and art are the same thing to me. I don't really, look at them differently. They they just get attacked different. Yeah.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And we experience them a little bit differently as well, but sometimes not, you know.
Yeah, and it's interesting how like you know when you're oh shit, I just lost my train of thought. When
Maybe you need a drink of wine. I'm having a scotch right now. I don't know for this.
I'm having a white wine from this is from a small producer up in Paso Robles called Maha.
Mm, nice.
These are the folks who have this. Their bigger label is called Villa Creek or Villa Creek.
Oh yeah.
They're right there in Paso Robles. They're good.
You're going white wine tonight. Is it because it's getting close to summer? Is that why? Is it
Yeah,
just
it's
a little
hot. It's hot here. It's warm, and it's really warm in our apartment too.
Yeah. I'm going scotch, and I'm just going scotch, no matter what.
Yeah, I know.
This is a Dalwhinnie. This is a Highland scotch, Wayne.
Oh yeah,
Highlands.
as opposed to a lowland scotch.
As opposed to a Speyside or an Islay, this is a Highland, which is a big fucking area of Scotland. It's kind of the whole thing is kind of Highlands.
Oh really? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I guess it's certainly in the north. I've never been to Scotland. I don't know anything about it.
Mm. I'm supposed to be going there, but who knows what Meg and I are supposed to be going in September. I don't know if we're going to be able to go or not because this
Oh yeah, that's right.
September.
That cool trip you guys had planned.
Yeah.
You guys are literally going to stay in a castle.
Yeah, we're staying in a castle. Yeah.
So cool. What a weird thing to do.
No, it's not that weird. It's going to be, I don't know. Maybe it is weird. Let me, wait, do I get to ask you questions?
I don't know. We're just having a conversation, I guess.
Oh, okay. All right. I always like to ask, because like people always ask me like, when did you know you were an artist? So I kind of can pinpoint a couple things. So maybe I'll start and that'll kind of do that but I want to ask you that of when did you know you were a musician? Mm-hmm. But I knew that I don't think I knew really what art was or what an artist did. But two things stick out of my mind when I was little. So I think I was under 5. My grandmother on my mom's side, this is before I moved out to California. This is in Minneapolis. My grandmother was painting this. She was doing this charcoal drawing of Thomas Jefferson. I didn't know who Thomas Jefferson was at that time, of course. I knew who the Jeffersons were. I didn't know who Thomas Jefferson was. So she's doing this charcoal drawing. I just remember sitting watching her do that. And she was an artist. She did a lot of murals around Minneapolis and in Florida when she was younger. And so I'd always see pictures of her murals around town and see some of them in person, but I'd see mostly images of the murals. And so I just remember sitting, in her kitchen. She was doing this Thomas Jefferson portrait in her kitchen. And I remember sitting there and I remember her saying, you're going to be an artist too. And I'm like 4 or 5, and she's like, you're going to be an artist too. I was like, okay, yeah. That drawing went on to be, so, later I found out that drawing was part of the bicentennial in 1976. Yeah. And that drawing is in the Smithsonian with the Declaration of fucking Independence.
Wow. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so that was one moment where I just was like, oh yeah, artist, okay. I don't know what that means, but what you're doing looks cool. I want to do that. And then, when I was in 3rd grade, I used to draw like, in class, I like get football cards and baseball cards, and I'd put them, I'd have the paper and I'd have the card, and I would like draw them in class, probably the whole time. I would draw them, like recreate the card, like the size and everything, not trace it, like have it next to it and draw it. And I remember my teacher probably sarcastically, oh, you're a little artist. and I was like, yeah, I am, as a matter of fucking fact. So I think that started my trajectory as an artist. I don't know,
Oh, yeah. No, nobody, no teachers of mine or my parents, nobody was like, oh yeah, the drawings that they saw of mine were like these horrible like stick figure, like, you know, drawing it with your bad hand kind of thing, and you know.
Yeah. But what about music though? When did you know you were going to be a musician?
Oh, I never thought I was going to be a musician.
What?
No, I loved playing music, and I loved writing songs. You know, I started writing probably, I think I learned how to play the ukulele when I was like 14 or 13. And so, because I thought it would be simpler to learn than the guitar, because the guitar had 6 strings and the ukulele only had 4.
Yeah. So you're like Keith Richardsing it. You're just like taking a string off.
Yeah, I'm just trying to, like, you know, so I'm doing that and trying to play like Simple Minds songs on the ukulele, and you can imagine what that sounds like, really shitty.
Yeah.
So I was doing that, and then
Simple Minds.
it was terrible. So I wrote some songs and stuff, some original songs, and then but then I was, you know, I was a drummer really, and learned how to play the drums and stuff, and then in college, I met the guys that I wound up being in a band with for, you know, for like about 6 or 7 years after that, and we were able to like make enough money, you know, playing music, and I think it was probably after. I mean, I think when I joined that band, it was.
Hold on a second. I think I got a little. Where is it? Oh, yeah. Look at this.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's it. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
by
I
the
don't
time
see
that
your
record came
signature
out,
on here.
What's that?
I don't see your signature on here. I see Campazano's, I think.
I don't know. Did you? Why would I give you my? Why would I give you my autograph?
I don't know, because it's cool. I don't know. Eric gave me his.
He was probably doing that as a joke.
Yeah, he's like, dude, really? You need my signature? I'm like, come on, man.
No, but by the time I think when I joined that band, it was like, you know, it was I think the possibility of being able to do it full time became more real the more that we played shows around town, because we played anywhere. Like we played clubs and churches anywhere, like anywhere in Southern California. We'd drive out to Ucaipa, Redlands. We'd go down to San Diego. We'd go everywhere. And then but we were drawing people. A lot of people, you know, started coming because we were playing like every week somewhere. And so, you know, it started to kind of make sense that like maybe we'll be able to do this, you know. And so that was when so we ended up doing it for a little while. So, and that was, you know, I guess I never thought of myself as an artist. I thought of myself as more of like a I don't know. I guess I separated them at the time. Like I thought about a musician, you know, being like a, you know, just being a musician, a professional musician. That was exciting enough for me. I didn't want to be considered an artist necessarily, because it felt like something that was that was a term that for me has always been reserved for people who knew a lot about art and knew a lot about music and knew how to play a lot of things, and I was none of those things. So.
Would you consider Carlos Vela an artist? Yes.
Yes, absolutely. I'd also consider him a wizard.
Oh, a wizard too. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, then let me ask you this then. What was your first what's your first music memory? Like dude, you have to have like an early memory of music, like, you know, parents or, you know, whatever. What's that?
Well, it's, you know, for me it's listening to, let's see, you know, my mom played a lot of music at home. She was really into music, and still is. But she played a lot of music in the house, and it was like a lot of like that stuff in the 70s. It was like, you know, Doobie Brothers, Boz Scaggs, you know, the Bee Gees. When the Bee Gees hit the disco era, man, it was like she was really in. Like Barry Gibb was like, I love this guy.
Oh yeah. So
she was super into it.
The Bee Gees, I have a good story about the Bee Gees. Hold on, I have this album. Hold on.
But it was also like you know, she really loved James Brown, and that was I'm really glad that she introduced me to him and to Stevie Wonder and to ABBA and all of those bands that I really loved that stuff at the time. later, when I became a teenager, I rejected all of that music because I was into punk rock,
Yeah.
And then, but then as I, became an adult, I was like, no. I renounced that, I don't renounce punk rock, but I renounce my hatred of, the Bee Gees and ABBA and stuff.
Well, I think is when we're young, we kind of plant a flag, right? We kind of like, this is my identity through music. It's weird. Like music does that. Like it's a weird thing to me and it's cool.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, when I was a kid, my dad, Doobie Brothers, Alan Parsons Project, my stepdad, the Eagle, but and then you do get older and you do expand, I think a little bit, you expand your territories. But man, when I was 14, 15, man, if someone, you couldn't pay me to put on a, Eagles album, like pay me money. But I do remember I have this is funny, you brought up the Doobie Brothers, my stepdad, and I have this album somewhere now. I remember opening up the gatefold, and it has a giant doobie in that, and I had no idea what a doobie is. I mean, this thing is as big as the gatefold, right?
Oh, really?
I'm like,
what is that by then?
What's going on here? Like, what is this? Like, I didn't know what that was. And, later I found out what that was. It was, I never got a straight answer on that one.
Right. Oh, that's awesome.
I remember back when I was, again, like under 7, I remember my first experience with music that I can remember was watching 2 shows on TV. Let's see one show was Tony Orlando and Dawn.
Oh man, yeah.
That takes it way back. I know my wife watched that, and then of course Sonny and Cher.
Yeah.
So my grandparents watched these shows. They didn't have any musical interest at all, except for these 2 shows. Like, there was no records in my grandparents' house.
Mm-hmm.
There was no radio. I don't remember a radio. I don't remember any music at all when I was really, but we watched those 2 variety shows. And that, I think that was my first early experience with music was that. And then, fast forward to, you get into junior high and you start trying to separate yourself from your parents and be cool with your friend. Like, hey, I'm into punk rock, same thing. Like, I like this new band, blah, blah, blah. And nobody else knows them. Sure.
Yeah.
Nobody, I used to go to Tower Records and go to the import section and just find shit that I knew nobody had ever heard of, that I thought nobody had heard of, just to one up my friends for a while there.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally.
Then I stopped doing that because it was kind of a lot of money to be doing.
Totally.
It's a little costly.
I went to when I was a kid. I would go to Music Market down in Costa Mesa. I lived down in Orange County, and my cousin, who's like 5 years older than me, he was introducing me to a lot of music, and so Music Market became the place where I would go, and it had like, it was like you had all of your bins and stuff, but then like you had, the import section, which is where you immediately went. After a while, I figured out that was my jam,
Yeah.
Literally finding jam records in there.
The jam. All right.
Yeah, totally. And then, but it also had like, it was also kind of like the alternative store, the counterculture store. They had like, T-shirts with like the Sex Pistols and Eraserhead and all of that kind of stuff, and they'd have like 3 pairs of Doc Martens that you could buy.
Yeah.
Did you have
the dark posters?
Now, you moved out here when you were when you're 7, and so then where did you have a store like that where you were?
Well, we had I lived in Laguna area, so it's kind of near you, and we had the Tower Records, which had a giant import section. My wife and my son and my daughter and I got in this argument a couple weeks ago at dinner, a pandemic argument about, I was being snooty, I guess, because, I was like, the Warehouse and like Sam Goody are garbage, right? But Meg made a good point that, look, that's what only thing some people had. Mm-hmm. And, me being a snob, I was like, no, you can't, it's terrible, it's bad, no good selection there. But, she is right. My son, Graham was on my side for a little bit, though. I had Graham on my side as a dad. because we go out, we go vinyl shopping all the time together now. That's one of the great things is both my kids love music so much, and I mean, it's so fun to have, a 17-year-old and a 20-year-old that they're super into music like we are, and Graham's finding all these bands, and it's funny, he just bought an Oingo Boingo fucking EP, their first EP. He just bought it at the record store on 4th Street in Long Beach.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, he just, I'm like, Meg goes, Oingo Boingo, really? What? But it has Only a Lad on it and shit. Ain't Life. What is it? Ain't Life. What is it?
I can't remember what that first EP was. Only a Lad was its own record. I think that's
well, no, but on the EP did have Only a Lad. That's the lead
really?
track. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. It was like 1980, and then Only a Lad, the album came out right after that. But Oingo Boingo, look, after Only a Lad, I don't think Oingo Boingo probably should have made any more. That's another story for another day.
Oingo Boingo, that's a band that I think has, for some weird, even though what's his name? What's his name? The composer,
Danny Elfman.
Danny Elfman. Even though that guy is like a huge, big deal and stuff, nobody ever talks about Oingo Boingo.
No. But my son just bought the record, and it just came tonight from Third Eye in Long Beach. Oh, yeah. Look, Paul's in there.
Yeah.
Oh, Meg says, "Ain't It the Life?" Or "Ain't This the Life?" is the other song. That was a good song. Ain't This the Life? Totally. Paul Day's asking what he's bringing up sports right now. I don't know. We want to get that in the second hour.
Yeah, let's take a break because we got only like a minute left before it cuts us off. So let's take a 5-minute break, everybody, and then come back. Thank you so much, those of you who are tuning in, and come back in like the 6:30 or whatever it is past your hour. Let's go 36 or 37, 6:37 or so, and we'll meet right back here. Go and refill your drink or grab a snack, and we'll meet you back here. Thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in, and we'll see you in 5 minutes. All right.